It's your man Alex, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys my take on a gradient drop fade. So let's get right into it. So to get started with this self haircut, I'm going to be using my trimmers to put in the first guideline. So I'm going in with my Glaker trimmers. They're very cheap, very affordable. You can check them out using the first link in the description. And I'm just going in, putting in the first guideline, going in toward the bottom half of the side of my head, maybe right at the top part of my ear, and then I'm doing a relatively decent drop toward the back of my head by the occipital ridge. So again, it's kind of going straight across on the side of my head, and then I'm going in and making a slightly stronger drop as I get toward the back of my head. Now make sure, this is a critical part of the self haircut, that you're using both of the mirrors in your bathroom to make sure that the left and right side of your head are the same. They have to be identical because you don't want one side to be higher or lower than the other side. So make sure you're double checking your work so that the left side isn't lower or higher than the right side. So you make sure you use the mirrors and do a little 360 in the mirrors to double check your work. Now going in with the foil shavers. These are from Babyliss. They're actually really expensive, but you can find some nice foil shavers for under $100. These just so happen to be like $200, so it's a pretty penny. But honestly, every foil shaver will do a pretty decent job, right? So going in with the foil shaver, I'm just cleaning up everything underneath that first guideline, but I'm also leaving about 1/3 of space so that I don't actually bring the foil shaver all the way up to that hard line. I'm leaving a little bit of space from that hard line so I can just go in and have some more gradients with the fade. And for the second guideline, I'm going to be using my Glaker clippers. Again, you can check them out using the link in the description below. These are my Glaker clippers with no guard and the lever open. So for the second guideline, no guard, lever open, and I'm going up only around 3/4 of an inch, so just about a finger's width of length. And I'm making sure that on the sides and on the back of my head, I'm making sure that everything is exactly 3/4 of an inch. Again, you don't want to have one side of your head have a 1-inch guideline and then the other side a 3/4 or a 1/2 inch guideline. Please make sure that both sides of your head look identical. Always make sure you're double checking in the mirrors. Now this next part can be a little bit confusing, and I think this is probably where most self haircutters, especially beginners, have the most difficulty with. So I'm actually going in to fade in that middle hard line right there. And in order to do that, it's going to be a 3-step process. So for me, I use a 3-step process because I find it to be the easiest. So I'm going to go in first with the no guard lever halfway. When I go up halfway with the no guard lever halfway, all I'm really doing is going up maybe about 1/3 of an inch up that guideline with a slight flick out motion. That's going to get rid of probably around 50% of the hard line. Now I'm going in with the no guard lever closed, and I'm flicking out from underneath. I'm going up, I'm hitting the hard line, and then flicking away from my head. So kind of like the letter C, I'm making a C motion as I'm going from underneath the line, going up, hitting it, and then flicking away from my scalp. So I'm creating a nice C motion. And that's going to get rid of right around 90-ish% of the hard line. And then this could get rid of most of the hard line for you, but if you're someone like me with really dark, thick, dense hair, you're probably going to have to go back and use the trimmers as well. So you'll see me go ahead and use the trimmers right now, just using the corners, using a little bit of a flick out motion, and just really nicking directly at that hard line. And this is that 3rd step that's going to get rid of that hard line completely. So now I'm going in with the number 1 guard with the lever open, and I'm going up again around 3/4 of an inch all the way around my head. This part can be a little bit tricky as well for some people, but if you just stay consistent with the guidelines, take some breather, take some time to just think about what you're doing. Don't rush right into it. Just make sure that because I know it can be a little bit hard to see what you're doing as well. Make sure that you're just taking your time and that everything that you're doing is about the same length. You know, this part right here is kind of crucial because this is where it gets the real gradients of the haircut, because you're going from really light toward the bottom to that really dark hair on the top. So this is honestly one of the most important parts of the fade, and it's really where all of that transitioning with the coloring is. So now that we just finished with the number 1 guard lever open guideline, now I'm going back to fade in that hard line. So first I'm going to be starting off with the half guard lever open, and similarly to the first hard line that I was getting rid of, this half guard lever open I'm using to soften up the hard line. So again, this should get rid of maybe about 50-ish% of that hard line. And then afterwards, once I finish going all the way around my head, going through the hard line multiple times, going up and down with the clippers, making sure that I'm going through the guideline multiple times. As soon as I finish with the half guard lever open, I'm going to go in with the half guard lever closed. So I'm just going to flick the lever into the closed position as you see right now. And I'm going to go in and start from underneath the hard line, flick up, hit the hard line, and then flick away from your head. So very similar to the first hard line removal. I'm doing the same exact steps, just with a different guard.
Do not go gentle into that good night.
Now for the final guideline, I'm going in with the number 2 guard lever open, and I want you to notice something very peculiar that I'm doing. Notice how I'm not bringing the clippers along the shape of my head. So I'm not bringing it with the curvature of my head. I'm going up at like a 90-degree angle, straight up and off my head. So again, I'm going up at like a 90-degree angle. I'm not going with the curvature of my head, because that will ruin the shape of the haircut. Because again, I want to keep some of the hair by my part line, otherwise my head's going to be very round after the haircut. So I'm just going up at like a 90-degree angle, and whatever longer hairs fall into the clippers, those are the hairs that are going to get cut. And so now to fade in the hard line, I'm using my number 1.5 guard lever closed, and I'm just slowly going in and doing a slight flick out motion. Notice how I'm being very cautious, because again, this is the part where you're really gonna see that change in the color of the hair from really light on the bottom to really dark on the top. So you want to make sure you're being very patient with this, because this hard line right here is one of the most important hard lines to get rid of, to make the gradients come together. So slowly go up, right? Just go up, hit the hard line, and slightly flick away from your head, because the last thing you want to do is create a new hard line by accidentally going up a little bit too high. And now for the really fun part of every self haircut, using my thinning shear over comb. So this is what's called the thinning shear over comb technique, and this is what really makes the haircut come together, in my opinion. I love thinning shears. They're honestly one of the best tools in the world for self haircuts. So, and again, they are a beginner tool, so I know a lot of people are a little bit scared and afraid to use them, but believe me, they're very affordable. Nice stainless steel pair of thinning shears, and just go in and blend in the part line hair to that longer length. I'm telling you, thinning shears will be a game changer for your self haircuts if you can overcome any fears that you have with having some scissors in your hands. Now, this is a secret technique that I discovered over the past year or two, and it honestly helps get rid of 99% of every hard line that I see on my fade. So what I do is I flip my thinning shears in reverse, and I just use the solid part of the thinning shears to guide anywhere that I see some bulky areas or some hard lines within the fade, and I just cut directly at them with the thinning shears, and usually this gets rid of them almost every single time. So for this self haircut, I'm not going to be giving myself a full trim on the top of my head. All I'm doing is pulling out the longer length of my hair on the sides of my head by the perimeter of the top of my head. I'm pulling them out horizontally from my head, and I'm just cutting a straight 90-degree angle down to blend in with the hair that I just finished cutting using the thinning shears. Now you have to finish off every haircut with a nice clean lineup. So for me, I like to use my scissors to clean up the hairline at the front of my forehead. It's just a little bit safer, and I'd rather not use trimmers right where I could completely the top of my head. So I use the scissors for the forehead, and then I use my trimmers for the vertical bar and the C cup around my temples. So to style my hair, I'm going to be using my mystery clay, which is a hair clay I've been making from scratch in my kitchen over the past few months. Currently, my hair clay only has 7 organic natural ingredients that are meant to promote hair health and hair growth the longer you use it, and helps you achieve a beautiful high hold matte finish. For over 10 years, I've been putting products in my hair that are loaded in harsh ingredients like petroleum, which is used in engine lube, artificial dyes that are banned in Europe, and alcohols that ruin your hair over time. I've been getting a lot of DMs on Instagram about it recently, so let me know what you think about it in the comments below, and definitely follow along with the journey on my Instagram stories. This is my take on a gradient drop fade self haircut. Let me know in the comments below how you think the haircut turned out and what other hairstyles you'd like me to try out next. But make sure you leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and check out this video if you want to take your self haircuts to the next level.